Our next speaker is Tim Carstens. He's Managing Director of Base Resources. Tim is an experienced mining executive with a career spanning more than 20 years in senior resource sector roles, both in Australia and overseas. He's been Managing Director of Base Resources Ltd since the company's inception in May 2008. During this time, Base has acquired, designed, funded, developed and successfully operationalised the $310 million US Kwale Mineral Sands Project, Kenya's first large-scale mining project. It's also now acquired the world-class Toliara Sands Project in Madagascar. Tim is also Chairman of the Australian African Minerals and Energy Group, AMEG, the peak body representing Australian companies engaged in the development of Africa's resource industry. Please welcome Tim Carstens.
Thank you. And thanks to Bill and Dom and the team at PayDirt for the resolve required to get an ADU up. I'm certainly thankful to have the opportunity and to dust off the suit and feel like I'm back at work. We're based, Base Resources is based in Perth, but we're all about East Africa. The Kwale operations we've had up and running since late 2013. Our first shipment we got away in February 2014, and then we decided it was time for us to spread our wings and apply what we'd learned to the next opportunity. And after a long search, we identified the Toliara project in Madagascar and managed to acquire that after a reasonable chase in February 2014, and we've been pushing forward with that ever since. And with that combination, we're in the process of building a pretty unique mineral sands company. For those of you who have taken the time to look at the mineral sands sector, you would have discovered that there are very few pure play mineral sands companies in the world. They tend to be lost inside other businesses. And what makes us unique is that we're kind of a mid-cap in the mineral sands world. We've got a profitable operation that's been going now for 7 years, or nearly 7 years, that we think we can extend. We've got a world-class development asset that provides us with an attractive growth path. We've got a combined long mine life once Toliara is up and running. We've got a really strong track record in the way we go about doing what we do in all aspects, you know, from operation or construction, operationalisation, safety, community engagement, environmental management. We've also got an extremely experienced team that's not doing this for the first time. Our whole management team that brought Kwale into being is still with our business. It's an exceptional team. And if I had to rank the assets of our business, there's absolutely no question that the team we've been able to put together is the #1 asset we have. We've now got a really strong financial position from which to grow our business and deliver returns. And all of that presents a company that's got some real strategic relevance in a sector that we certainly think is going to continue to evolve. One of the obvious challenges for all of us this year was adapting to a COVID-19 world in Madagascar that basically involved us folding the tent on in-country activities and bringing our expatriate team home. But in Kenya, it involved modifying our practices to keep the operation running, and we've been extremely successful in doing that. We've got nested plans on plans for all sort of eventualities. We were able to deliver our guidance for FY20, and we feel sufficiently confident on our ability to keep the operation going in a sensible fashion to put out production guidance for FY21. It involves a lot of collaboration with government to make sure that we understand each other's perspectives and we're able to adapt to whatever they're looking to bring down the pipe. But as 70% of the Kenyan mining industry and Kenya's largest exporter, we've got a pretty supportive government that very much wants us to continue. We've also invested pretty heavily in the local communities in which we operate to help navigate them through the crisis as well. And that's certainly helping to reinforce our reputation as a respectful and respected member of our communities. So the foundation for our business is the Kwale operation. As I said, it's been in operation now since late 2013. We've learnt a lot from that operation, from operational design, flow sheet design, project execution, operationalisation, workforce development, an awful lot of learnings. We got a lot right, but you obviously learn a lot, and there's certainly things we would do differently. But all of that has kind of been bundled up and captured for us to take with us to Madagascar. We started off life using dozer trap mining. But during the course of operations on the central dune, we identified that the high slime content at Kwale presented an opportunity in that you could create a suspension by basically using monitors to apply the water that we would otherwise apply in a dozer trap directly to the face. And we were able to reduce our mining costs by about 30% using that mining method. Now, that's one of the advantages of having high slime. There are a whole stack of disadvantages, one of which is a massive secondary mass movement exercise we have to undertake in depositing the slime fraction in a tailing storage facility that you can see in the background in that shot, in the very early days, I should say, and building a big wall around the outside. Quite a large exercise. We don't have to do that at Toliara. That's one of the points of difference. Toliara's only got about 4% slime, so we're able to deposit everything back into the pit immediately behind ourselves, and that removes a significant area of complexity and cost. We've now completed the wall height of that tailing storage facility, as you can see there. The rehabilitation is now more or less around the top of or completely around the wall. One of the advantages of being in a tropical zone is everything grows like mad, so rehabilitating is quite simple. The processing at Kwale is absolutely conventional mineral sands processing, gravity concentration, and then the mineral separation plant to produce the ilmenite, rutile and zircon that we produce uses magnetic separation for the ilmenite, electrostatic for the rutile, and then a more complex flow sheet of both of those two stages again, and a range of other steps to basically play off on the small physical differences in zircon grains relative to what's left. The plant at Kwale has delivered, I was going to say exactly to design. It's actually exceeded design in pretty much every respect. Throughput, recoveries, availabilities, you name it. It's been an extremely effective development from that perspective, and certainly something we're looking to replicate at Toliara. In terms of logistics chain, Kwale is very similar to what Toliara will be. It's about 50 kilometres from the mine to the port. Big difference is that we're using the existing highway in Kenya. In Madagascar, we have to build it. And in Kenya, we're also, I guess, have access directly to the Mombasa port environment. We have our own shed facility there on the southern side of the shipping channel. So we're separate from the main congestion of the port, but get to benefit from all of the benefits of being inside an enclosed environment. So we're not exposed to ocean conditions. That port facility has worked absolutely brilliantly. That shed holds about 100,000 tonnes, which is pretty much what you need to operate at the scale we operate at. And then I'll show you in a minute how different Toliara is going to be in terms of ports. Our safety performance at Kwale, and indeed across the group, is a pretty good indicator of the performance culture we have inside the fence at our business. We haven't had a lost time injury for 79 months now. We've had one medical treatment injury in the last 39 months, and rather ironically that was our maintenance manager cutting his hand with a box cutter opening a delivery in his office. He's massively embarrassed. And then looking outside the fence, I guess you could characterise our philosophy or describe our philosophy of engagement with the outside world as delivering felt fair mutual benefit. We invest quite heavily in that. In FY20 it was $3.4 million US. I should point out all the figures in here are US dollars. A whole lot of dimensions to that. We see this as absolutely central to our business model. We've actually banned the use of the phrase corporate social responsibility as being the language of obligation that companies undertake to be seen to be corporately socially responsible. For us, this is central to everything that we do. A lot of components to it. Two of the biggest are our secondary and tertiary scholarship program. We've got the best part of 2,000 people, students under scholarship at this point. And the other is the Kwale Cotton Project that's won a few awards over the last few years around the world, which sees 3,000 smallholder farmers participating in a program that we're looking to grow quite significantly and kind of re-establish the cotton industry. So we made a big transition about 18 months ago from having completed our Central Dune mining and moved down to the South Dune. We're now in a new paradigm of low grade and high volume, where our constraint is the mine and the concentrator. So as much as we can get through those, that really determines how much product we produce. So we've seen our production volumes fall away. Last year, not quite so much. This year, our second year in the South Dune, FY21, we're in our lowest grade year that we're going to have on the South Dune, so we just need to get our way through this. But it'd be fair to say that Kwale is still a very significant cash generator. Last year we produced the best part of 100 million US. We won't be quite at that level this year, but still significant cash generation. In the South Dune, now that we've got the storage facilities for the tails, basically we've finished building the wall on that tailing storage facility. All of the slime though continues to go in it. The waste sand goes back into the Central Dune, which means we've been able to start rehabilitating progressively on the South Dune. So that's getting rehabilitated as we go, and you can see that's literally about 3 months or 4 months work. It moves pretty quickly. So the focus for us now around Kwale is to extend that mine life. The next step for us is delivering a pre-feasibility study on the North Dune. That's that area highlighted in green there. We'll be delivering that in the first quarter of next calendar year. And then the area, you can see those red drill lines there, TARP plan drill lines. There's some areas of pretty significant interest for us where we're pushing forward with trying to get access to. And we think we've got some options for expanding or extending the mine life at Kwale. We're also looking further afield in Kenya. The area to the left there, Karanze, it's about 70 kilometres, or the left-hand side of it's about 70 kilometres away from Kwale. We're pretty excited about what that might look like and looking forward to unwrapping that over the next couple of years. The area over to the right is way up near Lamu and has the slight impediment of being a rather active area for Al-Shabaab. So it could well be some time before we're sending any exploration crews up there, but we're patient. Big step for us this year was commencing payment of dividends. With the open-ended kind of delay to the Toliara FID that I'll speak to in a minute, we'd broken the nexus between cash accumulation and an immediate need to deploy it in the development of Toliara. So we made the decision that it was time to jump to the dual track of value delivery for our shareholders in terms of cash returns, but also pursuing our growth strategy. The maiden dividend was a little over 40 million Australian dollars, so it was pretty significant at 3.5 cents per share. Relative to the share price at the time we announced it, it was about a 16% yield, so it'd be fair to say shareholders were A, surprised and B, pleased. But that's the approach we're looking to take forward, is managing those two tracks. So turning to Toliara, we're still completely committed to the development of Toliara. We see it as just an outstanding project opportunity that I'll show you a bit more of in a minute. But just to orient you to it, in Kenya we were trailblazers in really building the first large-scale mine in Kenya. In Madagascar, we're coming in behind two other very large developments. One is Rio Tinto's QMM mineral sand operation on the southeast coast, and the other is the massive $9 billion Ambatavi nickel cobalt operation up on the northeast coast. So we're coming along as the next sort of project of national significance in Madagascar, which has a whole lot of positives, but as I'll talk to in a minute, also has some challenges. Very similar mining operation to the way we started at Kwale. Indeed, it's basically dozer mining again. Not quite as dunal as Kenya is, where we had sort of elevated dunes. It's more It's more flat-lying. We're going down up to 80 metres potentially at Toliara. Very similar mineral processing. First step is concentration, looking at using the latest generation of spirals, which are kind of double height. That's about as far as technology's moved in spirals for a very long time, going from single height to double stack. We're building one concentrator to begin with, and then in about year 4 we'll move to a second concentrator as we move off a higher grade zone on the escarpment down to the ore body proper. The mineral separation plant is quite similar to Kwale. As I said before, we've baked in a lot of learnings in this. One thing you may notice is just how tall that building is. The building in Kwale was about 36 metres. This one's 52 metres high. We've learnt quite a lot about the use of gravity, as free energy. So that's been built into this design. We've also built it to be scalable. As I'll show in a minute, we've got a massive ore body that lends itself to future scale-up as market opportunity presents, and we want to make sure that we're able to do that really efficiently. We're going with a hybrid power solution through an IPP. It will be, unlike Kwale, which is a residential operation, Toliara will be a fly-in, fly-out. And I mentioned earlier that Kwale, we were using a 50 kilometre, basically 40 kilometre highway. We've got to build a road that's 48 kilometres long to take us down to a port facility that we also have to build. The public highway is there. It's recently been upgraded by the World Bank, but it runs through too many high-density villages for us to be comfortable running road trains through it. So we're building that road. We have to build a bridge across the Fiorina River, which takes us out to a port facility we need to build out at what's called Battery Beach. Very similar in principle to the Kwale facility, except it's about 50% bigger. The other big difference, as you can see there, is the jetty, instead of being 80 metres long, is 500 metres long. We are inside a protected lagoon with a fringing reef, a kilometre or so offshore. There is a port at Toliara off to the left as you're looking at it there. It's just not big enough to be able to bring the sort of vessels we need to bring in, plus you'd need to take 800,000 tonnes of material through a town every year, which is not going to win us a whole lot of friends. So building our own facility. So the Toliara project's based on a massive deposit. At the moment it's 1.3 billion tonnes. The DFS that we released in December was based on only about less than a half of that. And that gave us a 33-year mine life. It's open, if you like, at depth with another lens called the lower sandy unit, or another unit, lower sandy unit, and also open out towards the west. So we see this getting considerably bigger. The drilling work we'd done over 2018 and 2019 extended it quite a long way to the west, as you can see. We've also got a much better understanding of the lower sandy unit. So we're working towards a new resource update in the next quarter or two. But watch this space, it's going to get considerably bigger. And some of those drill results are absolutely spectacular. The grade at the central dune when we were having really good years at Kwale was about 8%. You're looking at 71 metres, well there's one there at 81 metres at 18%. Or 16.5 I should say overall at 18%. Now about a third of that is garnet, but it's still remarkable. I'm pretty excited about it. Notwithstanding the open-ended delay on the FID, we've been progressing a whole lot of work streams that make sense so that we're ready to go as things unwrap. The lenders have completed their technical review, or their independent experts have completed their technical review, all bar the site visit. I think they added about maybe it was $4 million to the $440 million capex, so extremely robust was the opinion. We've been working on critical path contracts so that we're ready to go as soon as FID is ready. We've done and now wrapped up some feed activities that we'd already started to really try and capture some value. We've kind of parked feed for now until we get greater clarity on FID timing. And we've been continuing with workforce development. We've done quite a lot of training of community people in the lead up to the suspension of activity late last year. We still have 27 apprentices from Madagascar who are working through their apprenticeships in Kwale. So we're continuing with a lot of that work. So FID delay, when we released the DFS in December, we were planning for an FID in September of this year. The government had put in place a suspension of activity on our project in November while we discussed fiscal terms. That's been one of the factors in that delay. Obviously, COVID was the second. So we made the decision in April that, at this stage we don't have sufficient clarity on the resolution of those two issues to provide further guidance. As they unwrap, we will restate an FID target. We don't see it happening before September 2021. Now, obviously, we're all aware of what's happening with COVID. The big issue for us is when international travel can resume, and I guess the condition of financial markets next year. But in terms of the government suspension, the reason that was put in place was to allow a discussion on fiscal terms. Madagascar, it would be fair to say, has been disappointed by the outcomes for them of the Ambatavi and the QMM operations. They don't want a repeat of that, and quite reasonably want to make sure they get it right with this next big project. So we're making good headway in our discussions with them. We're optimistic that we're going to end up with a sensible outcome. They're approaching it with a sense of urgency, particularly given COVID and the need to get the economy moving. So we're heading in the right direction. Assuming we can get an FID away, let's say in September next year, there's about 26 months of construction and operationalisation, which would see first shipment leaving right at the very end of 2023. So that's us. We've started delivering returns. We've got a track record of delivery that we guard very jealously, not looking to drop the ball with Toliara. We're continuing to generate high cash from Kwale. We've got a business model that works extremely well in Africa. We've got a great financial position from which to grow our business and deliver returns. We're seeing a market that's calling forward new supply, and we definitely think we've got our foot on the right project. So that's us.